Hello and welcome to the Weather Hazard Briefing presented by National Weather Service Pocatello for Saturday, November 23rd. Here's what you'll see in this presentation. We currently have a winter storm warning in effect, and that will continue into the late evening hours tonight. It includes the Sawtooth area, the Upper Wood River, and the Big Lost Highlands area. And we're looking at a total storm total that started last night of 12 to 20 inches above the 8,000 foot elevation, and a storm total of 2 to 12 inches above the Haley elevation up to about 8,000 feet. There are also some winter weather advisories out, which would mean moderate amounts of snow, anywhere from 1 inch to 12 inches for some of these locations. That would be the Lost River Mountains, the Centennial Mountains in the Island Park region, and then the Bear River Mountains in the southeastern corner of Idaho. The next round of storms does start Monday in the late afternoon, and it affects the south and east more, although not to the magnitude of these current storms we've had the last 4 or 5 days. Here's a satellite image. You can see abundant cloud cover over us. You can sort of see a brief clearing line here. But that's going to all fill in, and that's going to continue to bring snow to a lot of elevations. Now down low, it will warm up enough in the afternoon where it will change to all rain. But there could be some snow depending on your location in the Snake River Plain and eastern Magic Valley, especially during this morning when the intensity of the snowfall and rainfall will be at its highest. And here's sort of a greater picture. You can see this massive low out here, which has been sending these lows our way and these bands of moisture. So this is the latest. This will all start to move and shift by the middle of next week, and that will allow things to be colder but drier. So today we have advisories out for these areas, or at least portions of these areas, in yellow, and there is a winter storm warning out for this area, at least portions of it. And the warnings go until late tonight. The snow here continues, as you can see in the eastern and southeastern highlands, all the way into Sunday, mostly afternoon, and so these advisories actually continue out that far. Otherwise, rain here in the Snake River Plain, rain in the Magic Valley, and rain and high elevation snow in the southern hills. Then on Monday, we do get mostly a break, and then again, it's Monday in the mid to late afternoon where we start to see the return of rain. It'll move in from the west, so the first place to see it will be the Sawtooth and Wood River areas, and it will spread overnight into the eastern highlands, the southeast highlands, and the South Hills. And then Tuesday, it pretty much will be all day, and we will look at some brief snow, even at the low elevations, changing over to rain. The same thing in the South Hills, and then pretty much all snow for the highland areas that border Wyoming, and then there's a chance of snow for the central Idaho mountains, although not as easily achieved, because by Tuesday and Monday, these storms, instead of coming out of the southwest like they do, and it'll be more out of the south, and so it will affect these areas that are closer to Utah more so than it will areas up and near the Montana border. And then Wednesday, you can see for some areas it does continue, mostly just a chance, especially in the lower elevations. And then here in the South Hills, the Southeast Highlands, and Eastern Highlands, there continues to be a risk of snow into Wednesday. But most of this is benign. It's basically light snow. Do not foresee at this point. The only location that may have some sort of winter weather advisory for this time period would be in the Southeast Highlands, and that would be in the Bear River range of mountains west of Bear Lake. All right, so this is what's currently out in effect. You can see here the Bear River Mountains down here. Here's the Island Park corner up here in the northeast. And then we have the winter storm warnings over portions of the Sawtooth and the upper Wood River Basin, as you can see. And then some of those areas in behind, not a lot of the moisture is left here on these mountains with the southwest flow, so you get a little bit less out here, and so we only have winter weather advisories for these mountain ranges. All right, so we're going to look at these by forecast element. So we'll start out with temperatures. Today there'll still be some locations that might reach 50 degrees here in the eastern Magic Valley. It'll be real close, but mostly it'll be in the lower to middle 40s for the Snake River Plain. And you can see it's this is definitely cooler than yesterday. 10 degrees colder for Pocatello. We were 58 on Friday. And here, Stanley Basin, struggling to get to 40 degrees. Here you can see 39, just 42 at Haley. And then overnight tonight, as the precipitation ends and the clouds thin at least a little bit, you'll start to see the return of teens to the central Idaho mountains. And very mild tonight. Will get at least a little bit colder for Saturday night here, and the return of widespread 20s. So you can pretty much see if any snow lingers into the evening hours, or if any precipitation, should say, lingers into the evening hours. There's a very good chance it could change over to snow. And here on Sunday, you can see we are colder once again. The cooling trend continues. We're down 5 to 8 degrees. You can see Stanley only getting just above freezing. Pocatello struggling to get to 40 degrees. And then overnight on Sunday night, again, just a little bit colder. Teens starting to bleed into the Arco Desert region. And there's even some single digits up here in the central Idaho mountains in this very dark blue. And on Monday, we're sort of in between storms, and so we do get some sunshine, and we start to see a warming trend develop, but this will probably be short-lived. We are looking for it to cloud up again on Tuesday and precipitation again. So this is probably the warmest it'll be this week after today. So, and you can see the clouds overnight on Monday night keep things fairly mild. Temperatures back into the teens, and you can see the single digits have disappeared. And then as far as winds go this week, that it should actually be fairly light. The one exception would be this afternoon and into the early evening hours, where we might see some gusts to above 25 miles an hour, as indicated by this yellowish brown area here in the upper portion of the Snake River Plain, including Mud Lake, Rexburg, Idaho Falls. And so you could get some drifting snow up here, but only in the Arco Desert, where there might be enough snow to blow around. Idaho Falls, Rexburg, at this point in the afternoon, it'll still be rain. All right, so let's look at how the snow will evolve. Here in the morning hours, you can see there'll be a little bit sort of a dusting of snow in the Snake River Plain. And again, just the high elevation. See Idaho Falls. It'll be rain, Pocatello rain, Blackfoot rain, Burley rain. So it's really just the higher elevations up here in the Arco Desert down into Craters of the Moon. And that the bulk of the snow in this southwest flow is all accumulating here in the Sawtooth and in the Wood River Basin. And that continues into the afternoon. You can see the snow level does rise a little bit, and you don't get as much. It changes to all rain down here in the lower elevations. But the snow does intensify actually here in the boundary with Montana and the northern part of the boundary with Wyoming. And even down here in the Bear River Ranges, it really starts to take off after 11 a.m. And then during the overnight hours tonight, it continues to develop, and that's why it looks like this will be sort of the peak, the end of the really heavy snow here in the central Idaho mountains. You can see after 11 p.m. it still looks like it may continue, so you may see the winter storm warning extended by another 6 hours or so. And then you can see it actually intensifies here during the late night hours over here in our eastern part of our forecast area. And you actually see 6 inches. That's about an inch an hour in portions of the Bear River Range. And then Sunday during the day, much lighter, and this is why most of the the only place where significant snow is falling is, again, our eastern side, and that's why these winter weather advisories continue into Sunday. And you can see it really wraps up here on Sunday afternoon, with, again, the main focus here right along the Wyoming border. And then overnight on Sunday, you can see it really, there's just a dusting left in the sort of the northeast corner of our forecast area. Then here on Monday, again, it does start to redevelop in the afternoon hours, mid to late afternoon. You can see starting to pick up here again in the central Idaho mountains. And then overnight this is Monday, as it says here, not as much 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then here you can see how it's much more effective in the southern portion of our forecast area and our eastern portions rather than in the central Idaho mountains. All right, this is the expected storm totals from 5 a.m. this morning until 5 p.m. on Sunday, when all of these advisories and warnings will have ended. At least we believe it should end by that time. How much total is left? So it does not include what fell overnight tonight. But you can see 8 to 12 inches at Galena Summit and 4 to 6 inches in Stanley Basin. So pretty significant for this area. Same over here in the northeast corner and then down here in the Bear River Range. But pretty much just sort of a dusting here from Blackfoot northward in the Snake River Plain. Pocatello, though, especially on the benches, you can see there's a chance that you could see some snow mix in there. But again, the temperatures this afternoon will reach into the 40s, and so a lot of it will be rain on snow helping to melt it away. Okay, so here's the high end amount for that same time period. So could be as much as 11 inches in Galena, 7 inches in Stanley left over. And then here's our low end amount. So Galena should be getting at least a minimum of 6 inches. Ketchum and Haley, maybe just a dusting, but more towards that 2 to 3. And the same over here in the Island Park area. You can see they're guaranteed at least probably 3 inches here in the passes going over into Montana. And even down here, pretty much a guarantee of at least some 6 inches here in the Bear River Range. All right, here's the risk of 1/10 of an inch of snow or more. You can see, obviously, it's a no-brainer for the Central Idaho Mountains and the highlands bordering Wyoming. But here in the Snake River Plain, you can see there's still a pretty good chance of 1/10 of an inch. Pocatello sort of getting to one of the very low-end amounts here at 27%. Until you get to the eastern Magic Valley, where there's some places where it's not going to snow and there's no risk. The chance of 4 inches or more, again, you can see that's pretty much limited to our warning and advisory areas, and the same with 6 or more. Okay, so not everyone is getting snow, so let's look at here where the rain's going to be. This is the 24-hour rainfall or rain equivalent. So the areas here where we are expecting snow, for instance, the Central Idaho Mountains, a good portion of this rainfall is actually rain equivalent. It is actually will be pretty much snow. But down here you can see it will be raining in the eastern Magic Valley. They will be getting something upwards of up to 1/10 of an inch. In the Pocatello area, on the benches, it may be even more, up to 1/4 inch of rain and solidly 1/10 of an inch during that 24-hour period. The further east you go, or west you go, the lighter it is here, especially in the northern end. And then once again, the moderate to heavy snow also producing obviously a lot of liquid water equivalent. And then for Sunday morning to Monday morning, much less here. And then here's Monday morning to Tuesday morning, with that storm sort of coming in initially on the west side, producing some light precipitation, and then later on Monday night mostly, you can see how it starts to build up here on the east and southern sides of our forecast area. That's all I have. If you have any further questions, you can always contact us at this telephone number, or check out the weather yourself at weather.gov/Pocatello. Thanks for watching.